Alright, so now we're going to SSH into our EC2 instance using our Linux or our Mac computer. And you may say, what the hell is SSH? What are you talking about, Stefan? Well, SSH is one of the most important functions when you deal with Amazon Cloud. It basically allows you to control a remote machine or server all using your terminal or your command line. So how does that look like with the diagram? Well, we have our EC2 machine and we launched Amazon Linux 2 on it, and our machine has a public IP. Now we want to access that machine. And so for this, I don't know if you remember, but we have a security group, and on it, we allowed the port 22 of SSH. So what's going to happen is that our computer, so my laptop for you, for me, or whatever for you, then will access over the web through that port 22, it will access the EC2 machine. And basically our command line interface is going to be just as if we were inside that machine. So let's get started. Okay, so we are going to SSH into our instance. So remember that PEM file you've downloaded called ec2tutorial.pem. Please make sure to remove the space in it if you have a space. Even if you have a ppk file, please rename it and remove the space from it. So ec2tutorial.pem is removed for me. And then you go ahead and place it in a directory you like. So for me, I took my file and I pasted it, and I placed it in a folder called AWS course, okay? So this is the first step to making sure you are ready. So next, what I'm going to do is that I am going to go in my EC2 instance overview page and find my first instance. So here we have my first instance, and we're going to SSH into it. So we're going to open a remote terminal into it. And for this, I need to get the public IPv4 address so I can copy this and I will use it later. The other thing I need to do is to look at the security of my instance. So again, if you did everything with me, then your security groups have this rule in it called port 22, which is the SSH port, from anywhere by 0000/0. Okay, so if you have that rule, then you're good to go. If not, please click on the security group and add the missing rule. Next, I need to try to do an SSH. So first of all, you do SSH EC2 user at, and then the IP you have. So the reason we do SSH EC2 minus user is because the Amazon Linux 2 AMI has one user already set up for us, and that user is named EC2 user. Then we have at to say that we want to access that user on a specific server. And then we have the IP right here. This is the public IP of our EC2 instance. So we try this, so we do SSH, and then we're going to get a too many authentication failure. So that means that we don't authenticate into our EC2 instance. Well, that makes sense because we haven't specified the key that we downloaded from before yet, okay? You may get another kind of error, but right now this is the one I get. So for this, we need to reference the file we just downloaded called ec2tutorial.pem, okay, into our command. So make sure, again, there is no space. And then you need to make sure your terminal is exactly where your file is. So if I do ls right here to list the files in my folder, and I'm sorry if this is too advanced for you, but I have to cover the grounds for everyone. So if I do ls, as you see right now, it says ec2tutorial.pem. That's because I placed my command line in the correct directory on my computer. Okay, so for this, if you were not in the correct directory, for example, if I was one level up, so I do cd ... which puts me one level up, then I do ls, of course I don't see my ec2tutorial.pem, okay? So to do so, what you can do is just check where you are. So pwd is where you are. So I'm in users Stefan Merrick, and I know that I placed my folder AWS course within my home. So right under user Stefan Merrick, there is AWS course. So for this, then I know that I can do ls or ll just to confirm that my folder exists. As you can see right here is my AWS course folder. So this is good. So what I do is I will do cd and then AWS course, which now puts me in the directory of my AWS course. So if I do pwd, I am in the correct directory. And if I do ls, I can see my ec2tutorial.pem file. The reason I do this is that because now in the next command, so the SSH command, you do SSH -i, then you specify the ec2 tutorial.pem file, and that will not work if you're not in the correct directory. So please make sure to get there. And if you're missing a little bit of the Linux lunch here, please try to go online. But I should be good with what I showed you. And then ec2 user at, and we reference the public IP of our instance. So this one right here, we reference it. Press enter. And now we get another kind of error, which is saying that we have an unprotected key file and we need to change the permissions for it. So for that reason, we'll have to enter another command. And that command is chmod, so chmod 0400. And then we pass in the file itself, so ec2 tutorial.pem. So I clear my screen, and then I'm going to try the exact same command as before. So let me press enter, and I am logged into my machine. So you may have seen a screen where they prompt you for yes, no to trust the instance as well. Just enter yes if you do get that screen. So as you can see now, I have done the SSH into my instance, and now it says ec2 user at this IP, which means that now all the commands are going to be issued directly from the Amazon Linux 2 AMI ec2 instance that I've just launched from before. So let's try a few commands. For example, if we do who am I, then it says ec2 user, or I can ping google.com, and we see that google.com is responding to our pings. So we can launch some commands directly from the Amazon Linux 2 AMI, and I did Control-C to stop that command. Now to exit the instance itself, you can either tap exit, and I think this should work, or you do Control-D, and then it will close the connection into the ec2 instance. And if you ever want to get back into it, remember this command, SSH-I, ec2 tutorial.pem if you are in the correct directory. Please make sure to do so, as well as ec2 user at, and then the public IP of your instance. And remember that if you stop and then start your instance, then the public IP can change, so make sure to change that part as well. All right, so that's it for this lecture. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture.